Have you ever been talking to someone, maybe a friend, a colleague, or even someone you just met? The conversation is flowing normally, you exchange a few sentences, you laugh a little, and then suddenly, silence. No one speaks. You look at them, they look at you, and in just a few seconds, something strange happens inside your mind. Your brain begins to panic. Your thoughts start racing. Did I say something wrong? Why aren't they talking? Is this awkward? That uncomfortable pause is something almost everyone has experienced, but what most people don't realize is that awkward silence is not really about silence at all. It's about what your brain thinks silence means. And today, we're going to explore the fascinating psychology behind awkward silence, why it makes people uncomfortable, why some people panic during it, and why confident people often use silence as a powerful social tool. Why humans fear silence. To understand awkward silence, we first need to understand something important about human nature. Human beings are deeply social creatures. For thousands of years, survival depended on cooperation, communication, and group belonging. Our ancestors lived in tribes. Being accepted by the group meant protection, food, and safety. But being rejected from the group often meant danger, or even death. Because of this, the human brain evolved to constantly scan social situations for signals. Your brain is always asking questions like, do these people accept me? Do they like me? Do I belong here? And one of the main ways we detect these signals is through conversation. When people talk to you, laugh with you, and respond to you, your brain interprets that as social approval. But when conversation suddenly stops, something interesting happens. Your brain senses a break in the social rhythm, and it immediately begins searching for an explanation. The problem is, the brain usually jumps to the worst possible conclusion. Instead of thinking, maybe they're just thinking, your brain often thinks, something is wrong. That's the beginning of awkward silence. The brain hates uncertainty. One of the biggest reasons awkward silence feels uncomfortable is because the human brain hates uncertainty. Our minds prefer clear signals. If someone smiles, we know they're happy. If someone disagrees, we know what they think. But silence is different. Silence is ambiguous. It doesn't clearly tell you what the other person feels or thinks. And when the brain encounters ambiguity, it automatically tries to fill in the missing information. Unfortunately, it rarely fills it with positive ideas. Instead, your mind starts generating thoughts like, maybe they didn't like what I said. Maybe they think I'm boring. Maybe the conversation died because of me. Even if none of those things are true. Psychologists call this negative interpretation bias. Your brain prefers assuming a problem rather than ignoring a potential social threat. So the silence itself isn't the real problem. The real problem is the story your brain starts creating about that silence. Overthinking makes the silence worse. Once awkward silence appears, another powerful psychological process begins. Overthinking. The moment the conversation pauses, your mind starts analyzing everything that just happened. You replay the last sentence you said. You analyze their facial expression. You start wondering if your tone sounded strange, and the longer the silence lasts, the more intense this mental analysis becomes. Your brain might think, did they misunderstand me? Should I say something else? Maybe I should change the topic. This internal pressure builds quickly, and that's why many people suddenly say something random just to break the silence. They might tell an unnecessary story, ask a question they don't really care about, laugh awkwardly, or speak too quickly. Ironically, this reaction often makes the moment feel even more uncomfortable, because now the conversation feels forced, all because the brain couldn't tolerate a few seconds of quiet. Why confident people handle silence differently. Now here's where things get interesting. Not everyone feels uncomfortable during silence. In fact, confident people often react very differently. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, they simply allow it to exist. They remain relaxed, they don't panic, and they don't feel pressured to speak immediately. Why? Because confident people don't interpret silence as rejection. They understand something that most people forget. Conversations naturally include pauses. Sometimes people pause because they are thinking. Sometimes they pause because they are reflecting on what was said. And sometimes silence simply happens. Confident individuals are comfortable enough with themselves that they don't need constant talking to feel accepted. Ironically, this calm attitude often makes them appear more socially powerful, because when someone is comfortable with silence, it signals confidence and emotional control. Silence can actually be powerful. What most people see as awkward can actually be powerful. Silence has a unique psychological effect in conversations. It can create curiosity, it can make people think more deeply, and it can give your words more weight. For example, when someone says something meaningful and then pauses, the silence makes the message feel stronger. This is why skilled speakers, negotiators, and leaders often use silence intentionally. They know that silence can create tension, encourage others to speak, and give conversations a natural rhythm. In many cultures, silence is not considered awkward at all. In fact, it is seen as a sign of wisdom, patience, and thoughtful communication. The discomfort we feel with silence is often just a learned social habit. Conclusion. So the next time you experience awkward silence in a conversation, remember this. Silence itself is not the problem. The real issue is how your brain interprets that silence. Instead of assuming something went wrong, try to see silence differently. It might mean someone is thinking. It might mean the conversation is naturally pausing, or it might simply be a moment of calm between two people. And when you stop fearing silence, you gain something powerful. Because the people who are truly confident in conversations are not the ones who speak the most. They are the ones who are comfortable, even when nothing is being said.